Okay, what hit you guys? What hit you guys?
Be present.
Be present. There you go. How many times do we meet somebody, a buyer or a seller or a future? We're going to talk about attraction for 3 days pretty much. But when do you meet another agent anywhere and not be present? What else? Come on.
Listen with intent.
What?
Listen with intent to understand, not to reply.
There you go. I wrote that down. Guys, I've only listened to this like 7 times. The reason is when I found this just a couple weeks ago, I went, man, I'm doing that wrong. I'm doing that wrong. I mean, I admit to myself all the time. I've got about 5 of those that I really do wrong, all that, because it's just, it's who you are, right? So don't think how you're going to reply. Oh, I can't wait to talk about rev share. I can't wait to talk about something else, because, you know, they haven't heard that yet. So in your mind, you're waiting to talk about the next thing and not listen to understand. That's probably the best thing in the whole thing, right? Because everybody asks me, how have you recruited so many people? I've probably recruited more people than any team leader in any model, because I've been recruiting since 1989 for my own company, and I recruited hundreds and hundreds of people there. And then at KW, I was number 6 out of 10 years. I was the top recruiter. And everybody goes, what do you mean? I just listen to understand. I actually go on every single interview or meeting. I just want to meet somebody. I want to be amazed. What she said at the end, I want to be amazed. I want to meet somebody and be amazed. I actually take that attitude. I could care less if they come. I don't have anything on the outcome. That's the problem with you guys too, because when you're working with buyers and sellers, the problem with real estate agents is you guys have been working with the buyers and sellers. The buyer says, I want to buy a home. You go, cool, there's an outcome. I want you to market my home. There's an outcome. And then you get into attraction, and guess what? No outcome. No outcome. The first 10 people I called, Mary Ann's one of them, some of the people are in the room. The first 10 people I called, my best friends, blah, blah, blah. Guess how many of the first 10 came? 0. I was 0 for 10, and it didn't bother me one bit, because I'd been recruiting for 25 years up until then. I went, well, you know, Mary Ann only did the presentation 4 times to her. She'll tell you, no, seriously. I'm going to do it. I'm going to meet you, because guys, it's all about them when they come. If you write anything down or remember anything, it's all about when they want to come. They will come. There is no way you can force it. It's not buyers and sellers. See, buyers and sellers, it's different. Buyer goes, I got to get in. I need a home. I needed something over my head. There's more immediate thing. But when you're recruiting real estate agents, and I don't mind saying recruiting, because this is what we do, you can't force it. If you say, no, you got to come now, don't come 3 months from now, they go, you don't understand. My spouse won't let me come. What else? What else do we got? Wow.
True listening requires the setting aside of oneself.
Hard to do, Mr. Ego. Right, come on in, guys. Hey, there's the leading man coming anyway. Come on in, guys. No, come on in. It's a good time. Hi, guys. There's Veronica. How are you guys? Come on in, come on in. We got some chairs up in here. Come in there. How are you? Good. How are you? Good to see you. Come on in. Hey, Brent. Hey, big boy. You're up after me, baby.
Okay.
You're up. I got a couple more. You should. Hey, Kathy. That's Brent's wife, Kathy. Puerto Ricans. We have just Puerto Ricans everywhere.
Naturally going to respond. Set aside everything you know, you think you know, and just be in the moment.
There you go. Kind of hard, isn't it, for realtors? Kind of hard for high Ds, isn't it? You know, we like to take control. You don't understand. I sell a lot of homes because I'm in control. It's hard. It's hard. What else? What else hit you guys? Jay? Go ahead, Monica.
You don't have to share your experience, and I think we do to connect with people.
There you go.
Leave your story alone.
I'm sorry. I am sorry. I won't touch your head again. He said, don't touch my head. Did you hear him? You got to be around 3-year-olds to understand that talk. By the way, I've graduated. Susan says I'm 3 to 4 years old. So anyway, what does that mean? What does that mean? Explain that a little bit more.
Well, when somebody's sharing an experience or a story, we tend to
Boom shakalaka. 2006, Susan, and this is, just by the way, Susan doesn't have cancer anymore. In 2006, she got breast cancer. Marianne took her to the hospital. They shaved her head. She put on a blonde wig, and it was cool. I was married to a blonde for like, it was awesome. I was married to a blonde for like 6 months. So anyway, we're going through chemo, right? We're going through chemo. I'm a team leader at Keller Williams. I'm interviewing this guy, and she is right next to me on the computer. Literally, we were in a really tiny office. And a guy comes in, I go, tell me about yourself. You guys know I say that every single time. I said, tell me about yourself. And he goes, well, you know, it's a tough time. I said, what's that? He goes, my wife's going through breast cancer. He goes, we're like on our 4th chemo. And he talks about her for like 45 minutes. He signs up, he goes, and Susan looks at me. She goes, you never mentioned me. I said, honey, it's not about us. I mean, I'm that close to saying, you got breast cancer or we got breast cancer. Your mom died, my mom died. This happened to you, this happened to me. I'm telling you, I've realized the reason I'm so good at this is I don't make it about me. My golfing buddies, I love golfing buddies, but somebody tells a story, the other one tries to up it. Don't you like when you play golf? And then the next guy tries to up it. And it's like, you don't understand, this happened to me. And I'm sitting here going, isn't it funny? Brent's one of my golfing buddies, you know? And it's like golfing buddies like, well, let me tell you what happened to me, you know? And it's, remember we were talking about that. I got burnt, you know, Christmas Day, and Brent's going, I got a better story. I got burnt. And I'm sitting here going, but here's why I relate really well. How many people have ever met me and had a bad experience? No, seriously. I mean, I hope to God I'm trying not to bring all my problems to you. You comprendo? You ever think I've had problems in 6 years? What do you guys think? Do you think we've had deaths in the family? What do you think? But for a short amount of time, I can bring myself out of it. I can say, I'm going to meet another human being. I can't wait to be amazed. I can't wait to be amazed. Do you go away from a conversation knowing more about that person than probably anybody? Do you do it? I know their family members. I know what their kids do. I know what the spouse does. I don't leave a conversation without knowing all that stuff. They go away not knowing about me. It actually makes it easy. Does that help you guys? I'm serious when I tell you this. The reason Brent and I are good at it and other people are good, and I've seen Brent in action. Brent and I are like two peas in a pod. He comes over and he makes people feel happy. I've never had Brent come over and have somebody make him feel bad. He comes over and he puts his hand on their shoulder and says, hi, who are you? Who are you? It's never about Brent, right, my buddy? Okay? So, what else? There's more. I did every one of the 10. Yes, Jay.
For me, I think it was listening is absolutely important, speaking less, but also keeping it brief. I loved your last.
Thank you.
I tend to get a little bit, speak too much. Sometimes, one of the first things I learned in sales is you say your pitch and then shut up.
And you do sometimes. I've been on a couple calls with you, and I was going to talk to you about that, but that's okay. Allison did it too. I talked to her. I said, Allison, you're talking too much. It's not a bad thing for having somebody to come up and say, you know what, you just go on a little bit too long, right? And it's okay because you'll learn. By the way, can we all change the way we behave? Yeah. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not like you're that person forever, right? Thank you for saying that. Because I did it too in the very beginning. Guys, I've been a recruiting agent since 1989. I used to do a flip chart. I used to do this. I used to bring out hidden signs with their names on them. I used to give them cards with their names on them. Guys, I was so salesy. If you saw me in 1989, 1990, it was sales time, boom. And and then I just learned. Okay, Gene, cut it out. Actually, in 1999, when I became a team leader with Keller Williams, I said, I'm going to learn. I had John Maxwell in my car for like 2 years. I had stuff. I'm going to learn how to be a leader. I'm going to learn how to, it took me, it's only been 20 years. And I'm getting better. I'm getting better. Does that help too? Don't think, oh, this is who I am. No, you don't understand, Gene. I'm always like this. Change. Dude, change. Get better. And by the way, have accountability partners that aren't afraid to tell you that. Right? Not afraid to tell you, ooh, you went on too long. You should have just, don't you love it? And I lived through the miniskirt era. It was awesome. Okay.
One of the things that I've learned is, she mentioned go with the flow, but with that, for me, that means, like, I'm pretty good at going with the flow, but I was always like, had an end in mind, like, there's time, like, I only have so much time, but like, not only learning to go with the flow, but also there's enough time to like, learn, like, take your time and learn about people.
You know, here's the thing. Let me give you another example. 2006, we mentioned breast cancer. We went to Dr. Hampy, and Dr. Hampy was her surgeon. I talk about Dr. Hampy all the time. I said, Dr. Hampy, why did we meet at 6 o'clock on Monday night? Now, Dr. Hampy, he was the surgeon. He met with us 6 o'clock on a Monday night. We were there 3 hours at his office. He didn't put anything up. He didn't have like things like on TV. He took a piece of paper. It's amazing, right? My napkin. Took a piece of paper. He literally drew, and he says, this is what's the problem. 3 hours later, we decided to use Dr. Hampy. And I said, why did you have us at 6 o'clock on Monday night? You didn't even get to dinner. You know, he goes, Gene, all my first customers, all the first time I meet with somebody, I don't want an end date. How many times do you have interviews and go, I got to go? That's why I do 10 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock. 10 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock. I've been doing this for 20 years. And the reason I do 10 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, because most of my interviews that if I really do them well are about an hour and a half. They really are an hour and a half, because I'm asking about them for like half an hour, 45. I mean, I'm not even getting into EXP. I'm asking about them. And everybody goes, well, you know, that's too long. And I said, well, that's too long. Then I don't want to ever go, oh my gosh, I just met Jay and I've got to go, I got to go. That's when it starts getting good. And you guys are going, oh, you don't understand, got another one. I mean, that stuck with me, Dr. Hampy. I learned so much from a surgeon. He just retired last year, a breast surgeon. He goes, oh no, I don't want to have an end date. So you're meeting the number one agent in your market, and you're going to meet with them at 9 o'clock in the morning, and you got a 10 o'clock, you got another one at 10. It's not what I would do. In fact, my most important ones I put at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We could be having dinner together. If I would have met Michael Reese in the beginning, he was one of my, I would have met him at 3. We would have gone till middle of the night. We'd have gone the next morning. I'd have breakfast with him because, no, seriously, because we would have engaged so much. He would have been telling, I would have learned so much from, I know, because Jay's the same way, everybody, you know. It's kind of like, and then we go, no, you don't understand. Next one. Because, Gene, it's a numbers game. It's a numbers game. No, it's not. It's a relationship game. It's a conversation game. One at a time, right? Making any headway today? Just on conversations. Isn't this funny? I've seriously watched that thing almost every other day going, okay, I do that one. I'm a numbers guy. So I'm one of the worst ones with, well, what happened? Well, in 1972, Remax started. In 1983, Keller Williams started. I have those stupid stats in my head, and I want to repeat them to show them I know my stuff. But in reality, they don't care. They don't care. They don't care.
Gene, I had a mentor once say, in any conversation, the person who talks the most thinks it went the best, and the person who asked the questions was in charge.
Right.
And that kind of fits in with, I think, what she
Well,
was
what you
saying.
should do is write your questions down ahead of time. This is what I've done forever. I write the questions down ahead of time. Don't make them up. Write them down. Write them down. Guys, who, what, when, how? Who, what, when, where, how? How'd you get in real estate? What's that mean to your family? When are you going to retire? Who, what, when, how? Everybody goes, well, what kind of questions do you ask? I said, now, I've been doing this for 1989. How many years that is? So I don't have to write them down anymore. There will be a time that you don't have to write them down, but I cheat sheeted. I wrote them down. And actually, it was kind of cool because when I wrote down the questions, I'd write the answers down. I said, do you mind, Monica, if I take notes? I'd ask every time, do you mind if I take notes? You guys know how I work. These are my interviews. These are my Zooms this week. On the Zoom, I'm taking notes. On the Zoom, I'm taking notes. I'm not just talking to somebody on a Zoom. I'm taking notes the whole time. I'm going, oh, I'm going to come back to that. They mentioned that. They mentioned this. Yeah, you know, guys, everybody's like, you know, how did you, John Maxwell said one time, I remember watching him one time, and somebody said, boy, I wish I would have met you 25 years ago. He goes, no, you don't. 25 years ago, I wasn't like this. So if you met me 25 years ago, it would not have been this presentation. Does that make sense? You guys can become just as good as all of us. The problem is you don't work at it like I do. I literally, this is my thing. I'll mention something that's the problem with most of you all. Quit chasing the shiny object. Cut it out. Cut it out. I'm good at one thing. Interviewing real estate agents. How's it working? How's it working? I get calls from 2 million people. Gene, you ought to do this. You ought to do that. No. Got one job is what I'm going to do. I find you guys, you go, I'm going to go do this, and then I'm going to go do this, and then I'm going to be really good at this. Become good at one thing. Michael Jordan was really good at shooting, right? Some people are just good at blocking shots. That's all they do. They don't try to do everything. That ought to help you guys, I hope. Where's my buddy, Brent, man? Doesn't he look so thin now? He just doesn't even fit in the chair anymore. He's up next. I'm going to get him started because he's our main guy this morning. I'm just the warm-up act. Let's get you up here, my friend. Mr. Brent Gove. What? I'm going to mic him.